What's going on, everyone? Gilman with Wellthy Stocks, back with our daily Apple update video where we'll take a look at how Apple stock traded today, some key support and resistance levels that we have coming up, and based on that, what we think Apple stock will do in the future. So real quick, if you enjoy videos like this, hit that like button down below, subscribe to my channel if you are new, and comment down below what your thoughts on Apple are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. So been a crazy day. First things first, Democrats won. Was expecting a market pullback. There wasn't really one other than big tech, right? Big tech still got a little bit of a pullback, but not nearly as bad as anyone had anticipated, including myself, based on everything that I had kind of seen people sharing. So the day was looking pretty good. You know, Apple was down just a little bit, and it was starting to recover, and then we got the news of what's going down in the Capitol right now with people storming the Capitol and the the Senate and legislation that was kind of going on. They had to kind of halt the electoral vote, which kind of pushed the market right back down. So let's take a look at how Apple stock traded today. Let me hit record. We will get right into it. So like I said, right, what happened was we closed above this level, right? We closed in the low 130s. And then we saw a gap down, as we sort of expected, right? The Democrats were in the lead at this time, hitting a low of kind of 127. Then right out of the gate, we sold off, right? But if you guys are aware of our levels, right? Our levels held up really, really nicely today. Fell all the way to 126.56. We had our line at 126.65, so off by about 9 cents. But this is what I'm talking about, right? So we pushed up, bounced off, we pushed up, 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 up. Got rejected a little bit here, but we were able to push up, went back to 131.05, right? Which, if you remember, if you go back here, 131.40 in the after hours, we're back to 131.05. So not too bad, right? We were looking fine. And then kind of a little bit of fade started happening here. And then what we see kind of for the second half of the day is wiping out all the kind of progress we'd made during the course of the day because of what the news that came out with everything going on in around the Capitol and the protests and riots, or whatever you want to call it, right? Point being, a disruption that the market was not expecting, happened, which caused a little bit of a sell-off. If you go to, the NASDAQ, same story, right? Gap down, but pushed up, recovered, and then sold off. The Dow was actually up really nicely today at 400 points, but at one point it was up more than 500 points. Little bit of a sell-off, and then S&P definitely sold off a little as well. But big tech actually suffered a little bit more. So if you go to Amazon, you'll see kind of a similar story, right? So big tech actually, with the Democrats having the Senate, House, and the presidency, has more to lose because this could lead to increased regulations. As you know, some lawmakers are worried that these big tech companies like Amazon, Facebook, even Apple and Google have too much power, and so they could put in legislation that kind of limits their power. Like there was one recently where could Facebook have to sell Instagram, or could it have to break up Instagram and WhatsApp, right? So point being, big tech is still, I guess, going to suffer a bit more than the entire market, right? As we talked about, the market was green other than NASDAQ today, even after that nasty fall we saw in the second half of the day. So that's what, we are looking at. The other thing I want to share is Apple's App Store had holiday sales of $1.8 billion, which was a record number that we had never seen before. So that's something really good. So let's take a look at now price action, as we always do. See what could be next in store for us. The one thing that, I will share is the day was looking a lot nicer than we kind of ended. We were kind of seeing if we could break into kind of this line that we had drawn yesterday or a couple days ago. Couldn't, unfortunately, so we continued making a lower high and a lower low. So for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days now, we were doing that. But let's see what happens when we move forward, right? So first things first, we are up a little after hours. We're in 127.03. This 126.60s level, I think, is a good level of support. But like we talked about, and we have mentioned this in the past, if we see a little bit more of a pullback, that's just generally not going to be enough of a pullback, right? I mean, we're talking 50 cents from where we are in the after hours. So if we gap up a little, right, maybe we're in the mid 127s, then I could see, or mid to high 127s, then I could see this 126.60 level holding up as good support if we see a little bit of a sell-off. But if we open up pretty flat, right, like at 127.05, then we're only talking like a 40-50 cent drop, which typically won't be enough for a pullback. So at that point, maybe we see a bounce off of this level but continue dropping. And then if we take a look at our EMAs, what we'll see is we've got the 34 EMA at 126.04, and then we've got this 123.69 level. Those are the next two levels that I'm watching out for on the downside. However, on the upside, as we saw today, I think we could push towards this 129.58 level, break the 130s. If we can break the 130s, I want to see it capture the AEMA right at 130.40 after we could break 130s. And then what the point that I'll be watching out for is basically the high of the previous day, right? Which also corresponds with some of these levels we have in the 133 and 136. But I think that like movement upward is going to be a little bit slower potentially as we kind of move forward, right? Like not slower as in it'll take a long time to do it, but slower as in the levels that I'm watching are going to be a lot closer than kind of some of these levels that we have drawn out. So that's what I'm watching on the downside. If we open up a little bit higher than where we are in the after hours currently, 126 could be a good level of support, which is pretty close to the 34 EMA at 126.04. Then we've got this 123 level in the high 123s as a support. If we push up, I want to see it breaking that 129 and 130s, and then hopefully push up to the highs that we've set. Since we're making lower highs, the high of the day before becomes the next level to look out for. One thing to keep in mind, you guys, is there is still a lot of uncertainty this week with Washington and what's going on with down there. So if we see bad news come out of that, that could push the market as well. And then big tech especially might be more influenced by what the Democrats say in the near future. That all being said though, I'm still very bullish on Apple. I continue to hold my shares in Apple. And I think that this is going to be a great month for Apple, even with everything going on. I just think it might take a couple days for us to kind of get through this before we can push up into earnings, because I do think that Apple is having a good earnings quarter. So it's a matter of, when all of this uncertainty stuff subsides and we can hopefully focus on Apple as a company and how it's growing and doing. So that's all I had for you guys today. Hope you guys are staying safe and are doing well. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day. And until next time.